Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Cast of Champions. This is Mark. How you doing?
This is Slack and Cracking Robert. Sorry for the John Cena. I hope no one had to hear it or see it.
Hey, well, you can't see me. Time is now.
It's time never.
So, anything interesting?
Well, Alberto Del Rio saying La Sombra, or what's his NXT name?
Cien.
Is talking about wishing he never signed and wants to go back to Mexico. Of course, he hasn't had the best start.
Yeah, they've kind of not really done anything with.
Well, he's had opportunity, but he's not really getting to the American / WWE style because it's a lot slower paced and a shorter time frame. So he's having a lot more issues with really just getting to that point. I think his last match with Austin Aries was great. I think the Bobby Roode match, of course, like we talked in the previous cast, could have been better. I don't think he really gave Bobby Roode the chance to really step up to him, which he can do. But I really think if he stays a little longer, just like Kenta is now starting to get the big push since he has a GTS now, I think he gives it time, he will be a top star.
Yeah, well, the thing about La Sombra, he's also only like 26, 27 years old, too. He's young.
He is, but he has a chance to really make it big. I don't know if he would go beyond the cruiserweight, but he's time will tell.
Actually, way too big to be in the cruiserweights.
Oh well, I just assume the way he flies, he's cruiserweight.
Yeah, he's about 230.
Well, he's a bigger
guy. But yeah, and then Paige has not been fired from WWE, by the way.
She has a horrible tattoo. I would never get Alberto underneath my boobs. But hey, that's just me.
she got her under boob tattooed.
Yeah, under boob tattoo. Of course, she doesn't really have boobs to lift, so I guess if she just wears a tank top, you're going to see it.
I wouldn't mind being the tattoo artist, I'll be honest.
Yeah. I wouldn't mind either. I mean,
you might be blinded by her skin. I mean, she's paler than Sheamus.
I have no issues with it. I think it looks good, but that's just me.
Well,
I think she looks good.
She's a Hitler wet dream, but
wow.
Well, enough with the humorous part of the show for right now, and we'll get to the analysis right now. We're going to start with a little bit of Backlash. Start off with the pre-show. Mr. Baron Corbin going over Apollo Crews.
I really think Apollo Crews, he needs a manager, and he needs to be pushed as a heel. That's what he needs right now. You need a Doom push. He needs a couple extra guys. They need something that with him, because right now he has a smile that no one wants to look at and all the ability in the world, and he's going to end up failing. He's already said himself that he's not expecting anything with his WWE run. He's just happy to be here, and that's not the attitude he needs to have.
Yeah, poor Sessa Uha, because in the ring, he's great.
He's phenomenal. I loved him on the Indies. Dragon Gate USA, he was a monster. He was awesome. U-Haul Nation was awesome, and this WWE run from NXT to now, he's just getting lost in the shuffle. And he deserves so much more. They're
not really helping him with his mic skills. He
needs to help himself with that. Yeah. That's why I say he needs a manager. People say managers are dead. Paul Heyman proved that's not the case.
And Paul Ellering right now in NXT is proving that's not the case right now.
Well, I mean, he doesn't even talk. He just looks like an old skeleton. But he has the history that makes it work.
And plus he has the presence.
He does, but that's it. People that know. Most people just think he's an old dude with two big dudes.
Yeah.
But I know who he is. You know who he is.
Yes.
That would not work on the main roster.
Yeah. Then you have Becky Lynch going over for the title. I thought they were going to do delayed gratification with that one, personally.
I'm happy they did it because now 3 out of the 4 horsemen, or women horsemen, have had a main title.
Now we're just waiting on Bayley.
Bayley, I say next year.
And then
I love it.
Yeah. But then the Usos going over to Hype Bros, which why are the Hype Bros even around?
Because they're one of the few tag teams on Smackdown. That's why I said it's a very dismal division. And I think it's smart that the Alphas got taken out because they're red hot. And to have them win the titles already would tarnish them, and they would actually get buried not long after. So it's smart what they did.
They gave another hot team that, but I will get to that in a little bit. Then you had the Miz and Dolph Ziggler.
Well, a lot of people have been talking about the spoof they did with the CM Punk match. That was a slap in the face, and I understand it. Overall, the match was okay. I mean, Dolph Ziggler, in the stage he's in right now, he's a mid-card guy and he's enhancement. He deserves more, but what they've done with him so far, I don't know what they can get him out of. He's 6 feet deep in mid-card, and I don't know how he's going to crawl out of it.
Yeah, he's the water is 3 feet high and rising on Mr. Ziggler.
It's higher than that, man. I just don't know what they can do to reinvent him.
Yeah,
a manager wouldn't help him. A heel run, a face run.
I was just trying to make a pun, but
of course. Well, maybe if they put him in a tag team, because I mean it helped Heath Slater.
I would have said him and Tyler Breeze would have made a decent
horrible idea.
You don't think so?
Personally, horrible idea. I think Fandango and him are a good tag team because they mesh well.
Or maybe him and Zack Ryder in a tag team.
I think what would really
or maybe
help
him and Kurt Hawkins
is bring Mike back from the Spirit Squad. I watched a lot of his Ring of Honor work from a couple years ago. He can go. At least he could then. I know he did have an ankle, some kind of leg injury back in the day. But if he's still able to go now, so I haven't seen him on Ring of Honor or any really independent stuff lately that I've been able to find. But I really enjoyed when he was getting pushed in Ring of Honor. And if they would bring that back, just bring a little of the old school with him, it would reinvent him to a point that he might be able to get another title run. But where he is right now, he's stagnant. There's no way to bring him
And
out.
The Miz is doing the best work he's ever done, period.
Thank you, Daniel Bryan, for allowing that bit. I know probably not all of it was written, but he allowed it to go on, and him walking off stage gave The Miz the fire he needed. His wife, The Miz, posted a random bingo hole.
Maurice.
Saying hashtag waiting for you, Brian. And, it's a great story. I know they've left it for now. You have The Miz coming back on Smackdown, taking out Mr. No Chin.
Mr.
Great stuff.
But then the part that everybody questions, the Orton, Wyatt, and Kane part.
I think it's smart because where they are, they couldn't promote the story. I know you disagree with me, but you have to have a semi-face go over the heel just for the crowd aspect because in my mind...
Wyatt's over.
Well, that's the point. In my mind, Wyatt's over to a point they already know the match is a throwaway. So what they do something for the kids and the non-watchers that are, religious to a point. So they have the guy that's known as a face or a tweener, because Kane's at that point where he's just going to be considered a face, because he's not going to be anything else.
He's a legend and he's old.
It's like Sergeant Slaughter coming out now. No matter what he says, he's just going to be considered a face. Okay? So what I'm saying is they just have that go just so they have a good bathroom break, beer break, and they go to the next stage. It does not hurt Wyatt to the point because it's not storyline driven. I know you disagree, but if you look at the fact of it's not going to be something going that Randy Orton's going to make, well, you lost at Backlash to Kane. Because it does not promote the story. It does not help. It does not do anything. So all it is because he had a concussion. They needed something to happen, and boom, that's it. That's all it was.
The problem with it, though, is you just had Bray Wyatt lose to Kane on a pay-per-view, a guy that's lower on the card than him, for one.
It was
For two, the fact that you just made Wyatt look weak to a guy that is 48 years old and hasn't been wrestling full-time for a while.
Okay, but storyline, what does it do? How does that promote the story? What does it affect the story? It doesn't do anything to the story. It is a throwaway match. I know you rather...
It makes Orton look strong and Wyatt look weak. To me,
Orton wasn't in the match. Orton interfered to make Kane win. Wow. So that makes Orton look like a dirty dude, which makes Bray Wyatt have more fire to go against him. Wow. That's all it did. Because Wyatt had only lost because Orton's interference. That's the only reason why Kane won. Kane was only there to promote their story. Kane's win means nothing to the story. All that means is that Orton came in because he couldn't wrestle but still interfered to get at Wyatt because he knew Wyatt's a threat. If you look at it that way, it's promoting Wyatt as a monster because even though Randy Orton was in the match, he had to do something against Wyatt because he fears him. He knows Wyatt's a monster, and he has to do something to get at him because he has nothing to defend against Wyatt.
I would have buried Orton in that. I would have made it where Orton RKO'd, but when Kane goes to capitalize, Wyatt does the,
what did they do next
the
week?
spider walk. And
what did they do next week, Mark? They do nothing next week. They have to have Randy Orton somewhat strong because he is the veteran. He has had more time on TV. Wyatt is still considered a newbie compared to him. Wyatt's better on the mic, ring, everything. I completely agree. 9 times out of 10. But here's the thing.
They gave Orton the title at 24, though. Wyatt's 29, and he still hasn't held a title at all.
Okay, but who's more over?
Bray Wyatt by a mile.
Okay. You never will agree with me this, but to me, the title is for someone that needs it to be big in the industry.
Yeah, but I
The
think
Rock needed
it
it when he first started. If The Rock never got the title when he did, he would never be in the position he is in Hollywood or where he was in WWE before he left. Bray Wyatt is in a position that no one has been in the last 20 years, where they do not need a title to be over. He can walk out.
Not since Jake Roberts or since The Undertaker. Is that what we're getting at?
Exactly.
Or Mankind. Those are probably the last 3 guys that didn't need a title to be over.
I cannot agree more. But he's in a position where a title means nothing to where he's over.
Right.
No one has had that in so long, it's ridiculous. So what they're doing is they're building to the fact of where they're going to have him take off a couple veterans, a couple legends, and he's going to be the champion you want, but they're building it to a point where it's going to mean more than The Undertaker's first championship match, because Undertaker's never had a title very long.
He beat Hogan for the first one.
But how long did he hold the title?
Not very long. He was placeholder.
That's what I'm trying to say. If he won the title right now, they do not have a storyline to have him keep it. They're trying to build something where he has a meaning to keep it.
Okay.
It's smart business. You have to look at the point of, yes, he lost to Kane, but it doesn't mean anything because it still promotes that Randy Orton is fearing him.
It's just I'm looking at it from the view of most of the how the community looks at it. But
and that's because they want Bray Wyatt to have a title, but he doesn't need it.
Well, I've wanted him to have. I thought he should have had it at least a couple times, but beyond that, we're going to get to from one of the worst booking decisions to one of the best booking decisions. Slater Rhino going over to Usos. He's getting a double wide, baby.
Heath Slater's doing the best work of his career. He took a horrible storyline and made it gold.
The social outcast and then the free agent storyline.
Every storyline he's had since John Cena's compared him to the Wendy's girl. Everything he's given, he's made gold, and he's finally got a title what he deserves.
Yep. And then
I hope he gets a good title run out of it.
Yeah, but then, of course, we go from that to why have Styles go over dirty on Ambrose? He should have gone over clean. I hate that.
I like
the fact they gave him the title, but I think he should have gone over Ambrose clean. Ambrose should be feuding with I think he should be jobbing with The Miz.
I know you say that, but in WWE world and universe, they want him to still be top guy. And how they do that, they have AJ go over dirty, and they build him as the angry tweener. As they showed on Smackdown with his mic work, which is the best he's done in WWE. Since his comment about Andre the Giant's ghost with the shield. I don't know if anyone remembers that, but I love that segment. But the fact is, with his mic work, shows that he has the ability in the future to be a top guy. What they have pushed him so far, PG Pillman sucks. No. But his mic work and his ability to ring, if they let him go with the way he wants to and let him be who he is. John Moxley, exactly. He can be a top guy, and they're actually letting him, for the first time in so long, be himself.
It's just like...
Because I know that you say John Cena got over him, but he burned him so good right back. And I never would expect that 2 weeks ago.
But John Cena really did burn him, though. And I will say, I think anything that John Cena said did a lot more damage than what...
I think it was half and half. I think they did really good back and forth. It's the best mic work that he's done in years.
Yeah.
With Dean Ambrose, and I really enjoy the segment. I don't think he's going to get the title again for a long time. I really think he's going to get the IC title next, or maybe US or something to that nature.
Yeah, since we kind of just got into it, maybe we'll just segue into SmackDown. We'll go ahead and segue into SmackDown. They had the Usos going over on the Hype Bros.
I like their new look because they're just being, they're just being themselves. They're not doing the face paint. They're not doing the gear anymore, which I told you, I think, last week or the week before.
Looked retarded.
They really needed to just go a whole new look. Yeah. They really need to go a whole new moveset. They just need to go with them. Yeah. I don't really care for what they do in the ring.
They're still doing that frog splash. They're still wrestling faces.
This is Samoan.
The only difference is the chop block.
Chop block. They're slowly building to something, and if they do it the right way, I think they could actually be something. Because right now they're still in the same bracket as a Roman Reigns.
Yeah.
And they don't need to be.
That's
They're
their
better
cousin
than
anyway.
Roman Reigns. I don't care.
Yeah.
They're family. I mean,
Yeah.
they're Rikishi's sons, but they deserve to be in their own bracket. Right now they're still billed with a Roman Reigns, and they deserve to be more, and they're going in the right direction for the first time in several years.
Then you had the Miz and Dolph Ziggler segment.
Wasn't bad. I mean, Dolph Ziggler, his best mic work is on commentary.
Yeah.
Of course, he doesn't have really anyone in the commentary besides one guy to really compete with.
Yeah.
But at least we know where he's going in a couple of years.
Then we got Corbin beating the crap out of Cruz.
I mean, End of Days is great. Other than that, it's a waste of time.
Yeah.
I mean, he's balding, and it just the whole time I was looking at his hairline.
Yeah. Jack Swagger now on SmackDown.
The only thing he said that mounted anything, yes, his wife's hot. Other than that, I do not
Yes,
care.
his wife is very hot, but
He
he,
does not
still
re-
sucks.
His lisp bothers me.
He still sucks.
Yeah, I mean, he has great wrestling ability. I don't.
He's a great wrestler.
There's
He's
a lot of
Division
rumors.
One wrestler.
There's a lot of rumors he's going to giant push on SmackDown, which scares me because I think it's going to hurt the brand.
Sucks.
But we'll see what happens. Maybe
right.
Zeb Coulter will get
Maybe
another contract.
Dirty Dutch. Maybe Dirty Dutch will come back.
I mean, he said "We the People." He's still
Yeah.
using that as a gimmick because he has nothing else.
Yeah. Then, of course, Harley Quinn, Alexa Bliss wins the #1 contender.
Best segment, best match of the night was a women's match. I really, really thought that Carmella was going.
I'm
But
okay with it. I like Alexa Bliss going
I
over.
loved how they really teased the Nikki spot, but took it away, and you have Alexa Bliss steal it. I love how they're pushing her because she's the smallest woman in the division. She has fire. She has the ability. She has the skills of a goddess.
She's
She
an
deserves it.
ex-gymnast, and she's actually an ex-fitness competitor.
Yep.
Most people don't know that. But then you had Heath Slater, baby, getting his contract, and then they beat the tar off the Ascension.
I like Ascension's new look. I like how they're actually starting to give them a voice. It's a good start for them.
Yeah.
So I like how they're building them to be more than a bunch of jobbers because they haven't done anything in NXT. They're monsters in NXT.
Yeah.
But Rhino and
I like
Slater,
Rhino and
great
Slater.
segment.
Great
Love it,
tag
love it,
team.
love
It's a
it.
good tag team. Then the Orton Wyatt segment, which still
It was a snoozer because of Orton.
Yeah, Orton. If they let Orton go over on this feud, I will be angry.
Well, like
Period.
I said, there's no reason why they would. I don't perceive it. If they did, then we would have a different conversation.
and
I
a
don't
lot
think
of
that's
and a lot of people would riot
Yeah.
because Wyatt is incredibly popular. That's why.
Yeah.
And then Styles having to look for a tag partner.
It was old school. I didn't care for it. I love that Mr. No Chin showed up.
James Ellsworth,
I don't know if people saw
the
it,
the
but,
Strowman jobber.
the open letter from Mick Foley to Daniel Bryan after the fact. Great stuff. I really like the guy.
Yeah,
he
he
reminds
actually
me-
has a little bit of. He kind of has that Horowitz Santino deal going.
To me, he reminds me of a Colin Delaney from the ECW days, the WWE version, of
the
course.
WWE
Of course,
CW, crappy
better
CW.
storyline wise. I really think they can push him as in the future. Maybe another Santino. I like him. I really wish they'd keep him. But we'll
And then
wait
they
and
had
see.
The Miz do a skull crushing finale and get into the match, which of course Cena and Ambrose
I
go over
love
the
the heel.
styles of the
I
Miz.
love how he's running with it. You can tell his wife getting him all the confidence in the world to really do something. He hasn't done this since his title run. Honestly,
Yeah.
his heavyweight title run.
The Miz actually doing work, but
He has great mic ability.
Yeah.
His ring work is good
And of
to an
course-
extent.
AJ Styles, him and Bray Wyatt, to me are the two most over people on the show.
They are.
Yeah. But then that was your SmackDown, and John Cena actually got a good pop.
He did. I mean, people are happy to see him. I really earned
I
respect
didn't.
with him back in the CM Punk feud. Before I hated him. Now I actually accept him to an
I
extent.
accept him because he accepts his own.
He's a great guy. He's a great wrestler.
Yeah.
He pushes young people. He's not where he
Well-
buries them like in the past.
The last person I would say he almost buried were the Wyatts. And I think he probably realized what kind of mistake he made.
Well, like I said, Wyatt is one of the very few people in the industry right now that I don't think he can be buried unless they really, really do something horrible. They proved that after the loss to John Cena.
Yeah. Well, that was your SmackDown synopsis. Now we're heading to the Red Brand. Started off with Jericho and El Generico. Jericho in the highlight reel.
I loved it. A lot of people
And
did
getting a
not.
code breaker.
A lot of people did not make
Mr.
this
Jericho.
assumption or realization, but to me, it reminded me of the old school. I don't know if you remember when Jericho threw Shawn Michaels' head through the Titantron. That segment with the phone reminded me of it so much, just because it was random and it was violent. Of course, it didn't have all the blood and the same
because
scenery.
WWE's gone nutso because of people like Abdullah
Jericho said that he believes
Abdullah the Butcher and all that.
Well, I really think because Jericho said that segment he thought brought the PG Jericho because how violent and bloody it was. But to me, it had a lot of shades of it because it was just it was the same show. It was it was just so random. Yeah. I loved it. I think it built both guys.
Yeah. And then you have Cesaro going over Sheamus in that best of 7 mess. I hope they use it to push Cesaro, but I still don't have faith in it.
Well, like I said, I think they're building Cesaro right because, yes, they have agreed they buried him in the wrong way. He's proved himself over and over.
Yeah,
and
the Cesaro kid stuff really got him back over.
Yeah.
Which, it sucks that... And speaking of which, Cesaro wants Samoa Joe's Muscle Buster banned.
Well, that's his problem. I don't think it should be.
I don't either.
Tyson took it wrong. That move's been used over 1 million times on the Indies, and that's the first time I personally have heard an issue. So Tyson took it wrong. I've seen the move being taken. I believe I saw the video, and it really just looked like it was a bad setup. Stuff happens.
And then it's kind of like the Styles clash on a couple of guys.
Roderick Strong, who actually just signed a contract with NXT, he actually had a neck injury from it.
Yeah, Roderick Strong, Yoshitatsu, Kazarian. Yeah.
Okay, so
then, Nia Jax and Alicia Fox, not very good.
It was a waste of time.
New Day Bullet Club, still good.
Lovely
Jinder
stuff.
Mahal actually going over Jack Swagger.
Yeah, he had a good mic bit, but it was a waste of time.
Epico over Enzo, which, meh.
It was okay.
Yeah, and then Owens, Rollins, and...
I love the segment.
Nick, yeah.
I love they're actually giving Owens a mic and letting him be himself.
And then Owens beating Roman Reigns. Yay.
I love how they're giving people, they know people don't want Reigns, but they kind of give a hint and then just take it away.
Yes. And then... That was Raw for you. And then TJ Perkins winning the Cruiserweight Classic. Yes.
Great stuff. 2 hours of great wrestling. I cannot say it enough. I'm going to miss it so much next week.
Him over Mascara Dorada. Or Grand Metalik, as they're wanting to call him.
Yep.
And then NXT, you had Samoa Joe and Nakamura. Their little...
I love the segment because you had Joe saying, I just want to do things right, do all this stuff, and just totally destroy him and put him on a stretcher. Old school, just brutal stuff.
Then Liv Morgan and the Authors of Pain both going over jobbers, basically.
Liv Morgan's mic skills need so much work. It was
Gianna Dadio's mic skills need big time.
She's nowhere near where she needs to be to even go against Asuka.
At least Billie Kay and Ember Moon look competent.
Yeah, I thought it was a waste of a segment, honestly.
Then Kenta going over Drew Gulak.
A great match, honestly. I love how he gets the GTS, and it's so funny how one move actually brings a guy to the height.
How it actually gets him over. And then Bobby Roode going over No Way Jose in the main event.
It was a sloppy match. I don't think it was either guy's.
Jose.
I don't think it was any guy's fault. I just think it was really just a bad mix. It just never really got off the ground.
Yeah. Well, that was NXT for you. Then we got some highlights from Lucha Underground. Kill Shot getting his dog tags back.
Oh, it was an insane match. I love their story taking. You had Wagner Jr.
Yeah, Dr. Wagner Jr.
It was
debuting.
great stuff. I really enjoyed it because you had the manager. I cannot remember his name right off the top of my head. Let me take a look real quick. I cannot remember his name, but you had the guy with the manager. You had Mil Muertes defeat Argenis, which was a decent match, but you had Ricochet, also known as Puma, come in.
Puma.
They're going to start that feud up again, which is going to be great stuff. But Killshot versus Marty the Moth.
Yeah,
that's one of the best
Marty
matches I've seen in months. I mean, it was just... yes, it was a spot fest, but the story was so good.
We went from one of the greatest shows to now we're going to the laughingstock that is TNA, which we wish would fade away and classify itself as obsolete.
It had its moments, but overall...
Go away.
Why
Billy
is Dixie
Corgan.
Carter? I'd rather see her than Billy Corgan.
Let's just put it this way. Hardys go away. Corgan go away. Dixie, go away. Miracle and Moose, nah.
Miracle, I enjoy. I mean, I think
They
he's
need
doing better
Adam
stuff.
Cole. He needs Adam Cole and the other guy too.
Well,
They need to bring
Adam
the
Cole
kingdom.
deserves WWE, honestly.
Bring the kingdom there. And then Gail Kim and Jade going over Sienna and Allie, which Sienna really just turned on Allie. That's all that was.
Well, that's what she does every week.
Thankfully. They had the new belt now.
It looks great, but the style of match, I'm so confused. Like, Jim Borash wants to know what's going on, but then as soon as they reveal the belt, he gives a synopsis by video exactly what it is. A waste of a second.
It's almost like a worked shoot is what it feels like. The matches.
I mean, it's going to be just like the Legend belt and every other belt they called it. The King of the Mountain. I don't understand what they're doing. They really just need to do a belt that makes sense.
Well, the first couple matches, Drew Galloway going over Braxton Sutter.
Yeah, they treat him like old school WCW. They throw a guy out they know they like, but give him no story.
Yeah, and then Eli Drake going over Jesse Goddard's from the Bromans, which Jesse deserves better.
Yeah, I was surprised he went over. I don't really care either way.
And then EC3 and Lashley with their ridiculous segment, Who Gives a Rat's Behind.
Yeah, I mean, it made sense to an extent where they're just trying to build, I'm better than you, blah, blah, blah. But the fight lasted too long, and it didn't make whole much of sense. Like, the crowd wasn't bored. No one cared.
And then the final part, the leader, the K, kill me.
Like we talked about off air, it really reminded me of two guys that had no money. They had a friend that had money, shot a video in their backyard with themselves starring. It was like Beavis and Butthead had a friend that had too much money.
Like Stewart actually had money.
Yes, you had Park show up and get tasered. That was the most interesting thing. Other than that, I want to block it out.
Yeah, well, a lot of us would like to block out this week's episode of TNA. But, yes, hopefully, unfortunately, we're starting to run out of time. But you've been listening to the Cast of Champions. You can find us on Twitter at Cast of Champions with a 0 instead of the O. Also, you can find us on Boldcastify on Facebook. Also, you can find me on Twitter at BCB Markopedia.
Slack and Kraken on Twitter. Robert, hit me up. Got questions, what you want, just let me know.
Yep. And basically, you can find us on any social networking site.
All right, see y'all next week.
Have fun. You've been listening to the Cast of Champions on the Boldcastify Radio Network.